Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday and welcome today. Super excited to bring to you the Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Kolar. Mary Kolar is going to be joining us today, and we have a ton of information. We're going to be talking about homeless veterans relocation program. We're going to talk about COVID initiatives. COVID vaccination and support initiatives. We're going to be talking about the Veteran Outreach Recovery Program and brand new funding proposals for mental health support and mental health programs for veterans. Before I dive into all that craziness, I want to remind all of you to please follow the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce across all platforms. Look at this. I'm scrolling it across the bottom, and here, I'll make you a deal. I'll cut you a deal. And we're getting close, if we cross or surpass 2,000 followers on our LinkedIn company page, go to LinkedIn and look for Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. If we surpass 2,000 followers by the end of the day, I'll jump in Lake Michigan and I'll post the video. How about that? All right. So check out that thing that's scrolling across the bottom. And before I get started with anything crazy, it's time for our jingle. I like that song better than the last one. I'm so glad that we ran into copyright issues with the last one because that one is spectacular. That really gets me pumped up. Super excited to have all of you on and watching. It looks like we got a lot of people watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we might even have a Twitch user. My goodness. Outstanding. All the hip, trendy kids on Twitch are watching the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce Office Hours Live. Hey, if you have questions or comments for myself, for the Chamber, for Secretary Kolar, any questions, comments, concerns about Wisconsin veteran issues, we're discussing all things veteran issues today. Throw them in the comments. We will answer them in real time. We already had a good morning from Mr. Donnie Placidi Jr. Hello, good morning, Donnie. Good to see your face, and good morning to you as well. So I would encourage everybody to please throw in your comments. We'll be responding to them in real time. Now, before I bore you with my own talking voice, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in and introduce our very special guest today. And again, that is the Secretary for the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, Miss Mary Kolar. How are you today, ma'am?
Good. How about you, Adam? Thank you for having me on today.
My pleasure. We're super excited. I don't know if anybody saw, but we sent an email about it this morning. We've been putting a lot of blasts out. Just so pumped to talk to you. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your day with us and to share really interesting and relevant information for our followers and constituency. So thank you. I want to dive right in. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We were chatting a little bit beforehand, and my goodness, we could probably talk for hours, but I want to dive right in and get right to the value for everybody. And again, a reminder, if you have questions as we are in process, please throw it in the comments bar and we will address them in real time. So Secretary Kolar, obviously, there's this COVID pandemic thing going on. And I know that it's been a very active issue for everybody, but also through the WVCC, they've been doing a lot to combat COVID, to get information out, to get vaccines out. What's the state of COVID, the state of pandemic, the state of the vaccine world for the WVCC right now, and what's on the horizon?
Well, Adam, I don't know if you're aware that the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs is responsible for 3 veterans homes in our state. We have homes located in Chippewa Falls, King, and Union Grove. So as soon as we all became aware of the pandemic, we battened down the hatches, if you will. And sadly, we had to stop allowing people to visit their loved ones who call our state veterans homes their home, but we successfully kept the virus out of our homes for at one of our homes for 5 months and other of our homes for 7 months. But as the COVID virus accelerated, surrounding the homes with communities with very high rates of infection, sadly, we did have it enter the homes. I'm very thankful for the professionalism and commitment of our staff at our veterans homes. We did the largest outbreak per capita was at our Union Grove home. And because of the staff that were out due to COVID, we were able to get assistance with additional staff from the federal VA. Again, this is very unique because of the pandemic. So once we did get hit with staff and members having it at Union Grove, thankful to our partners with the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, our partners at the hospitals in Milwaukee, Madison, and Toma, and also in Minneapolis and Iron Mountain. So that, particularly in Milwaukee, we were able to get the help that we needed. So preventing COVID, and as I speak, if we have any cases at all, it's one, and at one of our homes. When I don't get a report, it really makes my day. That means we have no new cases. Our vaccinations of our members have reached almost 100% of our members, their residents. So we're very thankful for that. And that has definitely helped reduce the amount of COVID. And our staff are being vaccinated as well. So those measures, both prevention of disease measures that are routine in our homes, that did help us keep COVID out. The challenge of COVID is that you can have it and not realize it. So if you slip up, you touch your mask, don't wear your mask, don't wash your hands, it could have dire consequences. So I ask everyone, if you would please continue to follow, even with a vaccine out there, again, not knowing the status of other people, what you've touched. Let's all be a part of this continuing battle against COVID. We have also been able to take care of our residents of our Veterans Housing and Recovery Program, veterans who were at a point in their life where either they were already homeless or risked homeless. We again have facilities in Chippewa Falls and Green Bay and Union Grove, where they are able to get the assistance that they need. And again, there we have successfully kept COVID out when it has happened. People have been quarantined and they have not spread it to their fellow veterans. So that's our measures there. I encourage veterans who are listening today to look at the USDVA websites to learn where they can potentially get a vaccine. For the federal VA, you have to be enrolled in the Veterans Health Administration already. So when that's what's kind of discouraging about this. When people say, I'm a veteran, I should be able to get a shot. From the USDVA, it's possible if you are already enrolled. Here in Madison, where I live, the Madison VA began by giving vaccines to their veterans enrolled in their VHA age 75. They're now down to 65. So in March being next, just a few days, I anticipate more veterans will be eligible for vaccines. What else can I answer for you, Adam?
Oh my goodness. That was very thorough. That's great. And I know that we're vaccinating here out of Milwaukee, where I'm based.
Correct.
And last week we talked to the head of pharmacy at the VA Medical Center, Kim Bell, I believe her name was. Yep, that's right. And she said that they were in the tens of thousands, 13, 14,000 that they had already. That's so cool. So we're getting there. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows Patrick from Facebook has a really great question that is super relevant that I want to get to. Clint, I like your question as well over on LinkedIn. And Norma, it looks like Randy's handling your question. I want everybody to know that we are going to address your questions for sure, if not right now, but definitely at the end. So Clint, I hear you. Patrick, I hear you. Norma, I see you, and I appreciate y'all participating. That's fantastic. Can you tell Secretary Kolar about, speaking of your facilities, Union Grove and whatnot, the Homeless Veteran Relocation Program? Can you tell us about that program, what it does for homeless vets, how people become eligible for that program, where it's located, and so on?
Actually, we have two programs. We have our Veterans Outreach and Recovery Program. Right now, we have 11 coordinators located throughout the state. They're responsible for a particular area. And when I say outreach, it's outreach. The pandemic prevented us from going out as much, but now they are, again, with being able to get vaccines, with the precautions, our outreach coordinators are out finding veterans where they are. And that literally can mean those homeless veterans who are calling home a place that's under a bridge or an overpass or on a train, the places. So that outreach to find those veterans and referrals as well. So our coordinators work with veterans who are homeless or at risk of homelessness, help them get the help that they need. And even veterans by state statute, Wisconsin state statute, may not meet a definition of where WDVA can help them because of our relationships with other people whose mission is to serve veterans, other nonprofits. We are able to help veterans. We have so many success stories of our veterans outreach and program coordinators who have literally helped prevent a suicide. They hear from veterans who say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today. So the program works. It works so well that we requested, and Governor Evers included in his budget proposal for the next biennium, an increase of 7 more outreach coordinators. We are so thankful for the governor for making that additional, the proposal for the additional coordinators in his budget, again, because of that documentation. Even my conversations, and it doesn't matter the party preference of legislators or other government officials, this program has total support for our outreach to veterans in need. And then those who are eligible, again, the screening process for our Veterans Housing and Recovery Program, the actual people come to those facilities, like I said, Chippewa Falls, Union Grove, and Green Bay, and they live and are provided training, financial training, and any mental or substance abuse issues they may have are addressed. So they're getting the assistance that they need, preparing them for successfully rejoining the community and being able to live an independent life.
Absolutely.
So, yes, both programs I'm just so pleased to be able to have here in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, and I think that's the really cool thing. One of the many cool things about what we are talking about today, no matter which side of the aisle anyone watching finds themselves on, the left or the right, or the far left or the far right, or anywhere in between or the center, we can all get on board with these programs. There is bipartisan, near unanimous support of this veteran outreach recovery program, homeless veteran relocation program. Nobody has a problem with there being funding put into these things. We understand that it's a travesty if we have somebody that that sacrificed to serve our country living under a dang bridge, or dealing with substance abuse issues, suffering through that, it's a travesty if anybody's in that situation, but we have an opportunity through these programs to support our veterans. And I think that's great.
And Adam, I appreciate forums like this and the multiple ways that you are sharing this message. When I had the opportunity to travel the state before the pandemic, but to be in an event, and I mentioned these programs, and then to have a person stop me afterward, and literally this has happened more than once, and they'll talk about their veteran friend, including Vietnam veterans who have had a person they served with decades ago, but because of whatever reasons didn't want to accept help. But because, again, of our coordinators, I had a person that reached out to me and said, that their friend was not accepting help from them. But thankfully, when that veterans outreach coordinator knocked on this veteran's door, it is phenomenal. We had a person who didn't have plumbing, who was literally washing, So, so the good news story is that person has plumbing, they have new appliances, all because of that coordinator. Well, because of the friend stopping. Could be me, could be you. It could be Saul. The people help us get that message out that there are people ready, standing by to be of assistance. Sometimes literally we do have to go out and find a person, but if you know a person and you can help us help that person, we're standing by to do so.
It's incredible how common, and I was literally just speaking with somebody this morning, and I won't say his name, but if you're watching, man, I'm thinking about you, and I'm glad we had a chance to chat, that was saying, I don't feel comfortable making it known that I am eligible for these benefits, much less applying for said benefits. There's almost a guilt or an admission of weakness or some block for the veteran community asking for help. And I had to tell him, like, my goodness, this was a promise the government made to you when you signed up. You made a promise to them, but they also made a commitment to you. And these are benefits that are eligible to you and services and support that you earned through your honorable service.
Thank you, Adam. And that's just it. Again, helping that person understand, if not for them, what about family members they have? I was at a Memorial Day service, and a widow came with all the paperwork that she had for her now deceased the veteran, and all the service, and it was phenomenal service. It was a senior enlisted person that had accomplished great things, but hadn't sat down with a county veteran service officer or one of our claims officer or the federal VA. If that had just been done, but even with the governor next to me, and we weren't able to help because we didn't have the paperwork that was needed, that if that veteran had worked with his spouse to have the documentation, I'm the best part of this job, just like Adam, that in your job, that you are helping veterans. So again, I want to kudos to our partners, our county veteran service officers, our tribal veteran service officers, the people who work with our veteran service organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, and we have at least 30 or more in the state of Wisconsin. Work with them to help you get, as you said, the benefits and services that you earned. We want to be able to help you and find that paperwork, and let's get it done. When you were on active duty and they told you how important that DD 214 is, it's still really important. And if you did get crazy when you separated and destroyed that piece of paper, Donnie Placidi's on the phone. We will work to try to help you recover that document that is what everybody told you it was while you're on active duty, a very important document to help us help you get the benefits and services that you're entitled to. If it's a license on your license that you're a veteran, it's a good thing. And the GI Bill, Wisconsin GI Bill, if you're eligible for it and your family members are eligible for it, Wisconsin is one of the most generous states in our country for our veterans benefits and services. Just sit down and it is confidential, whether it's with us, WDVA, or a CVSO or TVSO, to get the assistance that you need. Again, you earned it. Let's help you get them.
Absolutely. And that's when people ask, where do I go? I don't know where to start. I always say, go to your county or your tribal veteran services officer, because that person's going to know everything from your federal eligibility to your state eligibility to your municipal eligibility. If you get free trout stamps on your fishing license because you're a veteran, they're going to know about it. And so it's important to touch base with them. So what benefits are available to you. And Wisconsin is one of the best states for benefits now, which leads to a great question. It's almost like we planned this segue, but I swear we didn't. This question is from Patrick. What is the chance or progress of Wisconsin property tax relief for disabled veterans with less than 100% disability? And let me put this in context really quick. Some states the state of Wisconsin, if you have 100% service-connected disability, you get property tax relief. Other states have a tiered system where if you're above 80%, you get relief. If you're 50%, you get 50% relief, blah, blah, blah. I didn't pay property taxes when I lived in Illinois because of my service-connected disability rating. But in Wisconsin, I'm paying property taxes. So this is actually relevant to me too. So what are the chances of where are we at with getting that changed or switched or expanded?
So thank you for your question, Patrick. And I don't know if you do belong to one of the VSOs of veteran service organizations, but I know that in the past, and I would anticipate in this legislative session as well, that their continued advocacy for this proposal. What has been proposed is the 75%. But again, I would follow up with if you belong to the American Legion or VFW and DAV, I won't swear to what they're doing, but I'm pretty darn sure that at least those three, if not more, of the other veteran service organizations are continuing to meet with legislators and propose and state that they would like to serve Wisconsin veterans by making it at least 75% to lower it to 75 from the current 100%.
And let me just expand on that. I think that's it's important for people to note, especially people who have a more austerity mindset, thinking like, how are we going to pay for this tax dollar wise? Think about this. The more attractive we can make the state of Wisconsin for veterans, the more veteran talent and community members we attract. And the more veteran talent we have in our state, the more veteran families, the more military families, the more attractive we make this as a destination for people post-service, the more of these quality people we're going to have opening businesses, lucrative businesses in the state of Wisconsin that fulfill diverse supply chain pipelines, that are going to be great employees for big companies, that like all of these fantastic things happen. And it's such a small expense to provide this relief, and we get a massive economic boom and benefit from it. Do you have any idea, Secretary, if there's any timeline? I know you said this legislative session. I know we've kind of been hearing that for a while. Is there any indication of the timeline?
Well, again, when the legislature meets, so, we are in a new legislative session. So I mentioned communicating with the VSOs, but communicate with your elected official. Let your elected officials know. Adam, you representing the Veterans Chamber of Commerce, you have stated the impact, the financial impact that veterans have in their communities. Wisconsin veterans currently, with all the benefits and services of those veterans who have done the paperwork, worked with their CVSO or their TVSO or WDVA and USDVA, it's over a $900 million annual impact on that difference of when you get your disability pay that you then spend in your community. You get your GI Bill and use it to get a job that is, 6 figures or more. Just what you can do with the benefits and the financial impact that they have. So again, communicating with VSOs, but communicate with your representatives as well. Adam, I have literally heard from legislators who have made it clear that they know our numbers are dwindling. So if they don't hear or declining, if they don't hear from us, they're going to hear someone else who's asking for a benefit that the state might provide. So giving our voices through organizations like the Veterans Chamber of Commerce and the Veteran Service Organizations, and writing to communicating with your legislators to let them know what benefits and services you want to see maintained and propose that become a reality in Wisconsin. It is that communication does make a difference. Let your voices be heard.
Absolutely. And that's a really great segue. I swear I'm not planning these segues.
We're a good team, Adam.
Happening. Speaking of this legislative session, you had recently put out a press release talking about the proposed budget and some bolstered, or at least a proposal for some expanded mental health funding for veterans and some mental health centered veteran support programs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the governor has in his budget 7 additional staff for the Veterans Outreach and Recovery Program. And again, that focus is eliminating the barriers for veterans who are struggling. So together we work with the Veteran for Housing Programs, mental health and substance use services. And again, we work with other veterans organizations to help them obtain stable housing, connect to healthcare, and get that mental health support that might be needed. There's also $200,000 for suicide prevention awareness, just getting that message out that there is help available. Here's who you can contact, and particularly focused on veterans in minority groups and those who reside in rural areas. So that is a part of the governor's proposal. And I have to say, for Governor Evers, in his biennium budget, he has identified $30,900,000 in state funds to support veterans benefits and programs. His budget includes the largest single infusion of general funds into what we call the Veterans Trust Fund by any Wisconsin governor. So that difference that our Governor Evers, is focused on making. We also, while I have the time, Adam mentioned the grants that WDVA is responsible for. We have our Veteran Employment Grant that is available to businesses when they hire an honorably discharged veteran who has a 50% or more service-related disability. That employer can apply and receive up to a $5,000 grant for a 12-month period. And if it's a part-time employee with a 50% or more service-related disability, it's $2,500. One of the best things about this job is being able to send those checks to Wisconsin nonprofits. We have a nonprofit grant that 501c3s can apply for up to $25,000, and we award up to $250,000 annually. In 2020, we gave 12 different organizations up to $25,000. We also have entrepreneurship grants that are eligible for nonprofits who provide entrepreneurship training or technical business or other assistance, again, to a diverse group of veteran entrepreneurs in our state to help improve employment outcomes. And that entrepreneurship grant is up to $100,000 each. And we have up to $400,000 to give.
Outstanding. Wow, that is all those big numbers make me feel really good. And I know it's a simplistic way to put it, but hearing big figures with lots of zeros behind it being directed towards veterans, veteran benefits, veteran entrepreneurship, grants in support of veterans, veteran mental health programs, that's very exciting. And again, I for people on both ends of the aisle, I would encourage all of you, obviously, to not think of veteran support as a partisan issue. These proposals, my understanding is that they have wide bipartisan support. So I think we can all, regardless of where you lean, celebrate this as a victory for our veteran community, which is, again, a victory for the state of Wisconsin and Wisconsin businesses. What challenges are you facing now in the next 6 months to a year? Your strategic vision, what hurdles do you have at the WDVA, and what are you trying to overcome?
Well, because of our declining population. I mean, however you look at it, the World War II generation, sadly, we are losing. Quite a few have lived at our veterans' homes, and it's very sad, how often we are losing them. We have the Korean contingent that was small to begin with, and the next largest, again, being the Vietnam veterans. So since 9/11, our size of veterans is not as significant as it has been in the past. And that's why when I mentioned earlier, we have to be unified together in our messages. If overwhelmingly veterans support the Wisconsin GI Bill, to have that maintained, we need to continue communicating with our legislators and whoever the governor is. I'm very thankful that we have Governor Evers and his support. What does the future look like? So as our numbers decline, I don't want the sound of our voices to decline. We have to work together, to advocate together, to still take care of your buddy that we had when we were on active duty and now in our post-military service. So specific to our veterans' homes, just it's a reality that 80% of WDVA's budget is the homes. We have these beautiful campuses. If you've ever been to King, it's like a Wisconsin resort. And we are home at Chippewa Falls. We had a member who described it as the Taj Mahal. Our home in Union Grove is just a really good location for Southeast Wisconsin residents, that the veteran can be living at Union Grove and not be far from family. So all of our homes, but what's the future for our homes? What's the future of the funding? COVID has awoken the country to the fact that we need to change the way that homes in general, skilled nursing facilities are designed. And that's what I'm looking at. What's the future? Thankfully at King, our largest facility, it's getting smaller, again, because the population is getting smaller. But later this year, construction will be completed on a 192-bed state-of-the-art facility. So nice. King will still be there. It'll still be providing that benefit for those veterans who are eligible and eligible family members. But that is my greatest concern when I look at Wisconsin and our benefits and services that we have, that we need to continue that unified voice. I will say I greatly appreciate that I have bipartisan support for what we do at WDVA, but that's why we need veterans working together as much as we possibly can in defending the benefits that we have. And if there's a benefit that we believe we should have, that we work together to convince legislators that, go ahead and approve this in the governor's budget, because it is a program that will make a difference in the lives of veterans and their families. And as Adam, as you have mentioned, it will have a positive impact in their communities.
Our communities and our wider economy, our not just veteran-owned businesses, but all of our businesses. They succeed and grow when they are taking advantage of not taking advantage, but rather collaborating with veteran talent, either in their workforce or in B2B opportunities and everything in between. I think that's a really good point. What does your vision look like? So in a perfect world, let's say you've reached the end and you've accomplished everything that you set out to accomplish as the Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs. What does that Wisconsin look like? What does it have then that it doesn't have now? Or what's expanded then that needs expanding? What does your vision look like?
That outreach has to be even greater than what we've done. Hearing you had that conversation this morning, this morning, talking to a veteran. Yep. I was talking to a person who's a partner to a veteran, and the communication that person had with the veteran who did, like the person you were talking to. Well, I don't really need to do this. It has such an impact. So we need to continue that outreach. I have greatest concern for our veterans in rural areas. Another conversation I just had this morning was with a person about our communication with the federal VA and actually our senators on when the Mission Act, it was, started with choice and then the Mission Act. And I've had this conversation literally with Dr. Stone, who is the Veterans Health Administrator for the Department of Veterans Affairs, responsible for all the healthcare, veteran healthcare from USDVA. I said, we have a challenge in rural Wisconsin reaching rural veterans. And then when we say there's a choice or there's the Mission Act where you can get medical care in your community, well, you can't if there isn't medical care in your community. And the one today was that a veteran needed care immediately, was transported by ambulance to an emergency room. For whatever reason, the emergency room got covered, but not the ambulance. And so that veteran was charged this incident happened in July. They are still battling that. That is not okay. That's where we need to work. Again, our outreach, whether it's the homeless programs or services that are available, but then that outreach and helping veterans overcome those challenges that bureaucracies do create. We've all had them. We know it's gotten so much better. I was on a call yesterday where a veteran that was served in Iraq early in, this is like 2003, 2004. And the services, this was a woman, the lack of service that this woman veteran got from the federal VA hospital during the early 2000s and how much better has gotten. And I'm able to say that. And the other veteran, our host, was able to say that. But it gets better by us working together and getting that message out that, defend that benefit and work together to ensure it is maintained to the highest standards and only gets better.
Outstanding. And I do have a follow-up question there, but before I go on to that, I just want to remind everybody that's watching to please, if you have questions, throw them in the comments. It looks like Clint, it looks like Donald Placidi answered your questions. Norma, it looks like Saul got you covered. Jane Babcock, as always, is sharing a lot of valuable information.
Hi, Jane. Always does. Yeah.
Oh, yep. So, okay. Secretary Kolar knows Jane. Jane, you're famous. So yeah, Jane Babcock, always sharing good information. So I appreciate that. Carl, it looks like Saul's connected with you. So I think we've handled all the questions unless I'm missing something. Sometimes the streaming service that we use, it doesn't always send all of the comments my way. And so if I'm missing what you're saying, I apologize, and you will be followed up with by either us, by Mr. Placidi. We will field your questions and get you the information that you need. So as we're kind of rounding third and heading on towards home here, I just want to remind people, throw in your questions right now, because we are very, very happy to answer those. And in the span of time that it took me to say that, I forgot my follow-up question. So
outreach, our unified voice as much as possible.
There it is. Thank you. Do you find that one of your biggest pain points as far as outreach is concerned and getting information out there and awareness is on the periphery? And that's the people that are either super urban or super rural, or is it just rural vets, or where do you find your biggest communications issues?
For me, it probably not as much as where you lived, maybe just choices, so maybe in urban, there's so much noise, there's who's using what platform. And to the point, I don't know about you, but there's days I'm just really tired of Facebook and I just want to get off it. But then it's like, no, I see something that I learned, but then all these other sources of information. But there are places, including here in Dane County, in rural Dane County, but for sure other places up north where you don't have connectivity, you don't have broadband. Your kids used to go to McDonald's to use the Wi-Fi, and then COVID hits. So the challenges that we have are maybe unique in some of the rural and urban areas, but that communication, we're just going to keep working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I really look forward to getting back out on the road again and
Mm-hmm.
meeting with veterans. When I'm hosted, name an event that somebody invites me to. But again, because when I'm out there and I get those one-on-one questions, or even when it's a large group questions or one-on-one questions, to get them answered and get people the assistance that they need. Or, it's not even always just assistance. Hey, did you know you're entitled to this benefit?
Right.
And if
Right.
you're at a point in your life, now I want to take advantage of it. Well, let's work with you to get you down that path.
Absolutely. We just had a couple other great questions pop in. Clint, I'm not sure what happened with your comments. I still see them here unless somebody deleted them without me knowing. But Clint Leskowski, Saul is right. Definitely follow up with Donald Placides. He's the man to answer that question. Bill Meisel asked a question: how is Wisconsin helping homeless veterans? Just scroll back. In the video, we talked about it pretty extensively. But Secretary Kolar, is there anything you want to add on that?
Yes, and actually, the governor has a interagency council on homelessness, and Mike Bassford is the executive director. And on his page, he lists all the benefits or all the proposals that the governor has in his budget to address homelessness. So for us at WDVA, the benefits of in the budget, the dollars that have been identified, and the 7 more employees to help with that outreach to find the veterans, but the additional programs that are also specific to homeless and including specifically to homeless veterans under the Homelessness Council, so that there's even more outreach, whether it's from WDVA or other nonprofits that can help us find veterans. And I'm on that council, and when we have our meetings and in between with work groups, we emphasize, help us find those veterans. And I have to say today, to know that we have vacancies, a full house is good, a vacancy is not. That means if homeless veteran, help us help that person. And again, our facilities at Union Grove, we have openings there. At Chippewa Falls, Green Bay is only 17 housing units, so that tends to stay full, but we have space available at our Veterans Housing and Recovery Program at Chippewa Falls and Union Grove.
That's outstanding. And we're getting a ton of great questions in here. So we'll try to zip through all these and get to all of them. We have a great question from DAV Marinette County. But I want to go to this question first. Secretary Kolar, is there anything veteran business owners need to know about the governor's proposed budget?
I would refer back to our one, I would look at what WWEDA's doing, what WEDC's doing, what we're doing, because there seems to be something almost weekly that I see from WEDA with housing and WEDC with businesses. And the ones that I've seen aren't coming to my brain right now, but those services that are a part of his budget for service to veteran owners, and as I mentioned earlier, veteran business owners, our programs for hiring veterans, our entrepreneurship grants. So, we can follow up too. And I know Donnie's on there, and we can get your specific question answered as well.
Yeah, and we will, as a chamber, as the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce, we will continue to, anytime we see grant opportunities or any other support for veterans business owners, we put that out through our newsletter. So if you look at the ticker on the bottom of the screen, it's encouraging you to please follow Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce on all social media platforms. Check out our link tree. You can sign up for our newsletter, which is the best way to get the most information. We send out newsletters either once or twice weekly, unless there's a special edition. So please, we're happy to fill you in that way as well. We try to keep you informed. Also, if you have questions about your benefits, I'll change the ticker here. Any VA related questions, 1-800-WIS. That's here. Let me take a look. All right, from DAV Marinette County, any best practices for reaching female vets in specific?
Well, I appreciate hearing specifically from the DAV because I depend on our veteran service organizations, including the DAV. Back to that outreach, I'm honored to be able to be the first woman to serve, a veteran to serve as WDVA secretary. But I again, as recently as yesterday, to hear from a woman veteran and her experience. So continuing with that outreach, you know that if you have males who are saying, well, I don't think I need to apply for that, sadly, we still have female veterans who are thinking, I don't need to apply for that service. And even worse, that I'm not eligible. Yes, you are. You've got that DD 214. You served your country. Let us work with you to get those benefits that you're entitled to. So we do have our WDVA women veterans programs. We've had to cut way back during the pandemic, but we look forward to our further outreach once we can meet in person more. Not sure who personally asked the question, but I hope they have an opportunity to join us when we have our day where we are focused with. This last time we were able to do it, we were at Trinity Equestrian, north of Eau Claire, and to have that day that women veterans could come, and it was their day not to be interrupted by whatever else was going on in their lives. At that event that I attended, and to again hear from women veterans, hearing experiences that they were able to share with a fellow woman veteran that they weren't able to share otherwise. And again, to get them the assistance that they need. We had claims, one of our, more than one actually, of our claims people from WDVA who were there, who were able to work. But, when I hear people like Jane Babcock on the phone, or that's on this event, Jane's retired CVSO, and it's continuing to advocate for veterans, like so many, I'm sure, others who are participating today. And I thank you so much, because this is a partnership of working together to have that outreach. Women veterans, all veterans, no matter what your gender, your color, or service, whatever that you had. Let's work together, supporting one another, and getting those, again, Wisconsin benefits and services that you earned and you are entitled to.
Absolutely. Well said, Secretary Kolar. I mean, it takes a village and all boats rise together, right?
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I applaud you for the work that you are doing with this administration to get much needed resource in the hands of our veteran community and military families that need it. Now, I have scrolling across the bottom again. If you're in need of VA resources or information, 1-800-WIS-VETS is a great way, or you can search for WDVA. You just Google it. Their website is quite comprehensive. You can learn about benefits and resources from the Wisconsin GI Bill, which a lot of people don't know exists, which is an amazing resource, to health resources, to everything in between. So, or if you want to read Secretary Kolar's bio, which is on there, which I just read this morning, which is spectacular. She served honorably in the Navy. Thanks for your service. Do you have anything that you would like to add or wrap things up in a neat little bow with here?
Well, thank you very much to the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. I know what you've done throughout the state. I know that you're located in Milwaukee, but you continue to work to expand, working with WDVA, working with VSOs, helping us help one another. I hope that carries through today, the theme from today, that we can make a difference in veterans' lives and their families. And again, I ask veterans who think, I don't need to apply for that. Think of what the impact it has on your family. And again, you earned it. Let's help. We will help you help yourself to find out what you're eligible for. And, again, for our veterans that we do find that from whatever, because we do have these definitions that are literally in state statute, but knowing that we have partnerships with other agencies and nonprofits who are able to provide assistance, let's help one another. We can do this, and we'll only make it better, as Adam said, for everyone. So thank you, Adam, and thank you to the Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
My pleasure, everybody. That is the Secretary of the Wisconsin State Department of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Mary Kolar. Thank you so much. I'll ask you to just hang on the line here for a minute, ma'am, while I close things out here. Folks, that was 45 plus minutes of straight, solid, valuable information about the things that the WDVA and their affiliates are doing to support veterans in our community. And I would encourage you to please act on Secretary Kolar's inspiring words about getting involved in your community and getting in touch with your legislators. They don't know how to best serve us if we don't tell them. All right. We are the voice. And as Secretary Kolar said, there's less of us, and there's going to be an increasingly diminishing, if that's a thing, increasingly diminishing. Okay, I'm just going to make it a thing. Increasingly diminishing number of veterans in the state. So friends, we need to be the voice, and we need to work together to be that voice and to advocate for our community. And I, again, applaud Secretary Kolar for the work that she's doing. Now, if all of you are interested, as I mentioned earlier on the beginning, if you missed it, in seeing yours truly jump in the frigid waters of Lake Michigan, please follow us on our company page on LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and look for Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce and follow that company page. If by the end of the day we get over 2,000 followers of the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce LinkedIn company page, I will jump in Lake Michigan and post the video here for all of you to laugh at. Please make sure to follow us across all platforms. We wear a little bit of a different hat on each different platform. Follow us Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. It'll make all of your wildest dreams come true. And until next week, Wednesday, 11:30 for our next office hours, y'all have yourselves a fantastic rest of your week. And here's our outro jingle.